Everyone, welcome to this edition of Wonder Women, stories of the women who play bass. And I have Becky Baldwin, fresh off a tour, Chile and Brazil, yes?
Yeah, that's right.
Nice. Welcome back. I hope it was good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, it was fantastic. Really cool.
Awesome. Any good stories? Anything that you want to share that happened maybe?
I mean, it was all just a whirlwind kind of couple of weeks. And what was really cool and very different for me was this is like kind of the first festivals kind of weekends that I played with Mercyful Fate. And we did one in Mexico, but it kind of felt different. This one was really cool because we shared the hotel just building. Most of the bands were most of the bands from the festival were staying in the same hotel. And the fans in South America, particularly Brazil, are just a completely different vibe. They're just,
Yeah.
I guess because they have so much fewer bands coming through and so much less often, they really take every advantage that they can, not in a bad way. They just, they take that opportunity to get a signature, get a photo, and they're dedicated. They will come to the airport to try and meet us. And they're very polite. They form an orderly queue. They respond well to the security that are there. But, that's the first time I've really felt like, okay, yeah, we do need security to kind of manage people, because otherwise it's just a free for all. Like they can help people get in line and stuff. And so that was like a very different experience for me. That was quite new. I've never had, someone wandering around the festival with me to make sure that people aren't like grabbing and stuff, to try and overstep boundaries or anything. And so that was really, really cool. But yeah, so completely different, and very, very nice people there, and they're very passionate about music and very dedicated as metalheads. So loved it. It was great.
Some good crowds. I was watching some YouTube stuff up from down there, but yeah, man, crazy stuff. That's awesome. And congrats on getting that gig.
Thank you. Yes, I think so I'd only recently it had only recently been announced when I met you in LA. So now we've come full circle, had the shows and stuff.
Oh, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Still, congrats are in order. And actually, I'm gonna go to a question prompted by a group of us, for folks who are listening to this, tend to get together, have dinner if we can at NAMM shows, all female bass players. It's great stuff because we get to trade stories. I always enjoy it. It helps sometimes helps us see our common threads in this industry. At least that's what I find. You don't have to answer these, but I thought they were interesting. I went back over the footage from that. You had a story about how you got into playing bass. It involves your sister and your best friend, about 12 or 13, and they started playing guitar. Do you mind telling us that story?
Yeah, sure. So I guess, we started getting into alternative music around the age of 11, 12. And I'd already played a little bit of piano, but it was very on and off, and I never really committed to the instrument very, very well. I wasn't very good at it at all. But when my sister started learning guitar, she first had an acoustic guitar, and then later on an electric guitar. And my best friend also decided to pick up electric guitar, and it felt right that I wanted to join in, but I didn't want to copy anyone. It was kind of like, I want to be part of this cool thing that's happening, and I'm really excited by the new music that I'm discovering that's kind of coming out at the moment. And I want to do this alternative, the rock thing and stuff. So what do I do? Do I copy them and play guitar, or do I upset my parents and play drums? I don't really have the kind of, not that they'll be upset to play drums, but just the volume, the space, all these kinds of things. And I don't really have the personality of a front woman or anything. So bass felt right, and it seemed like something that was, that could join in but be kind of different, and it felt like it spoke to my personality more, being a bass player. Like, I don't know, I don't know. I feel like I'm not like just very like mega passive or anything. I end up often in quite important roles, I guess, when I join a band. Like, I'm usually quite I am someone that people will speak to and make sure everything's like cool with, or I may end up being kind of acting as the band's manager or agent or anything. Like, I'm not a pushover, but I do not need to be in the front line. I don't need to be in the limelight. So I guess that's kind of that's always been true of me. So bass seemed to make sense compared to all the other instruments.
Nice. That makes sense. Foundational instrument and foundational roles. Do you mind me asking what your first bass was?
It kind of looked like a Fender P bass, but it was just kind of cheap copy. I think it said Chester on the headstock. And I was really into that because like Linkin Park had just released Hybrid Theory, and I was like 11 years old, and I was like, Chester, yeah, cool.
Nice. Okay. That's awesome. Okay. So I was going back through those notes too. You also have, we've obviously gone away from a Chester bass to Rickenbackers, and you had a really cool story you shared about your number one bass. It was a 1977 4001 Rickenbacker. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
And how you got it, and how everything just kind of fell together for it to happen, in a sense. Like, you almost didn't get it. It came back around. Do you mind sharing that one?
Okay, yeah, let's go for it. So, yeah. Yeah, it's a bit more of a personal story, but like, it's a great story. I love it. It makes the bass very special to me. So yeah, it's that white one, the 4001. And I already had the 4003. I bought that like 8 years previous to that, and I loved it, and it was just my dream bass. I always wanted a Rickenbacker, but what I wanted even more was like a classic Rickenbacker, because that was made in 2003 or something. I wanted a 70s one. I wanted a proper 4001. I wanted the one that like Lemmy was using in that music video for Overkill. That was when I think of a Rickenbacker, that was what I pictured. So it was around 2017 or 18. And I had just been like looking on eBay, like, let's see what Rickenbackers are around, let's see what's there. And this one came up, and I was just like, oh my God, it's in the country, because, a lot of Rickenbackers, they just kind of stay in America, like it's whether they've been kind of imported over or anything. So there aren't that many of them in the country, especially this era. And I was kind of watching it on eBay for a while. And then there was this guy that I was kind of like dating, who was also a bass player. And we kind of like met up for dinner or something, or some drinks. And I was telling him about this Rickenbacker. And he was like, no way, like I've been watching this Rickenbacker on eBay as well. And I'm like, is it in South Wales? Is that where it's listed? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, are you going to get it? And he's like, well, I kind of want to. And I was thinking, I already have a Rickenbacker. He doesn't, like, maybe he should go for it, and I'm not going to end up in a bidding war, like, against, like, someone I know personally. Like, this is just going to ruin both of our lives and everything. So, and I was like, maybe I can't afford this. Like, this is a very reckless decision, like, to spend all that money. I'll be in very difficult, like, financial turmoil for quite a few months if I do this. So I was like, you go for it, whatever, it's fine. And then, I don't know, some various things happened over the coming weeks. Kind of stopped hearing from him so much. Went to a gig that I had invited him to, but he just didn't respond to. And he's there with some other woman. And I'm just like, okay, so you could have said you were coming. It would have been fine. And that you were here with someone else, you also could have said that. That also would have been fine. So it was a little bit dramatic. I got called some names by this other woman.
Wow.
Yeah, very
Oh, this escalated. The
And
video
things
apology
escalate.
out the gate, and then this escalates. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I think maybe I gave you the short version when I told everyone in the pub. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
No good. No good.
Oh, this is even better.
All right, keep going.
But yeah, so and then just whatever I ended up with like some messages from them and just kind of just cut it out of my life. It was just like these people are just not right for me, and never mind. And then I just kind of assumed that he did get the bass because I had been watching it still on eBay, and the bid had ended. I could see that his name had bought it, but it was one of those ones where you pay cash when you get there and stuff. You don't have to pay upon ordering it because he was collecting the bass. But yeah, I didn't know this till afterwards. But yeah, he didn't actually come up with the money when he won the bid. So a couple of weeks later, the bass appears again on eBay, and I'm like, hello, okay, yes, I'm going to swoop in there and just see if I can get it. And yeah, as it turned out, I won the eBay bid. I went over to South Wales, picked it up, and I was just like, oh, so I saw that this got bought a few weeks ago and it disappeared. What happened? It came back online. And he's like, oh yeah, the guy didn't come up with the money, he kind of messed me around. And I was just like, yeah, he does that, doesn't he? I hate people like that. God damn.
Oh my goodness. And here it is.
But that was another thing as well. So that day it was like January, maybe 2018. I can't remember exactly the date, but the guitarist, Fast Eddie Clarke, a guitarist of Motorhead that was on like the Motorhead album, Overkill albums. He died that morning, and I was still thinking about this purchase, and I was thinking about the Motorhead like videos and the songs and stuff, and when I got the news that morning that he had died, I was like, right, this is a sign. I'm putting in the bid. Let's see what happens. And it all just kind of worked out perfectly because I got to take the bass home, and I wasn't in as bad financial turmoil as I thought I was going to be. Things started to pick up again, and I'm just so pleased and grateful that I managed to swipe it when I did, because it's just, I don't know, it's my favorite bass ever, and it just made sense. And then last year we did some tour dates with Phil Campbell, who is the guitarist who joined Motorhead after Eddie Clarke, Fast Eddie Clarke left. So, and he saw the bass and he was like, wow, that's so cool. He had a play on it, and he's a big supporter of me and Fury now, and it just felt full circle. Like, okay, I never got to meet Lemmy. He was one of my bass idols, but I got close enough. I got a bass that kind of resembles my favorite bass of his, and I've managed to get the one of the guitarists of Motorhead to play on it. So that's what makes this bass very special to me. It's my favorite.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Do you have any stories about the other one, about the other bass? I'm just curious.
Well, I don't know, not really. It's just a bass that I just really, really wanted, and went through, just worked so hard to try to save up enough money, and that was another eBay purchase, and then picked that up. That was back in 2010. So thinking about it, 2010 I got that one. 2018, I think it turns out I got that one. So in another 2 years, I'm due another one, really.
That's a good plan.
The math works. So I think I need a red one next. So then it will kind of complete my little, that would, okay, every 8 years I'll get another Rickenbacker.
Just a trio of basses there. I like that.
That would be great. Yeah, a little space there.
Nice. Okay, this is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Oh my goodness. Let's see. You have an interesting condition called face blindness. And I was just curious about that. Is it severe? Is it mild? How does that show up for you? you mind me asking?
No, that's okay. I mean, I didn't notice it for most of my life, really. So yeah, most of the time I don't think about it too much, but I did start to notice, for example, when watching movies, I find it harder to follow the plot. If a couple of people look a similar way, like, they appear a similar age, they have similar hairstyles or colors or something, then I can't tell the difference between these people, and just
Wow.
it's yeah. So I always have to be like, is that this person? And they'll be like, no, that's a different person. I'm like, oh, okay, I thought they were the same, or the other way around. So I guess, I can still remember people if they're quite distinctive looking. Of course, I remember them, or if I interact with them a lot, like if I see them online a lot, then I do start to recognize them. But I think that the main thing is I do worry that I come across a little bit snooty, because like I can meet someone several times and still not remember them, and just be like, oh, hi, I'm Becky, nice to meet you. I'm really trying to be nice here. And then I'll be like, yeah, we've met like 3 times before, and last time you forgot me as well. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry. Like, it's, yeah, that's like the worst thing, because I am trying to be polite, and I'm trying to introduce myself, and so, now I just don't bother introducing myself. And then I'm like, well, people probably think I don't want to talk to them and I'm being stuck up because now I'm not introducing myself, but I literally can't win, because I don't know. Again, when you're touring and you play a lot of shows, and people have a certain look, and that's quite universal. Like, people wear similar clothes. Like, I can't just tell everyone apart because there's a guy in the black t-shirt with the beard, and yeah, cool. It's quite hard to do that. So yeah, I do get people confused quite a lot, and yeah, so I guess recently, since I posted that, some people have been like, hello, I am this person, and we met here. And I'm like, thank you so much. I mean, sometimes I'm like, for real, dude? No, of course I know who you are. Come on. But yeah, I do appreciate it that when people just don't take offense to it, because
Yeah.
I literally can't help it. Like, I really try and remember people's faces and names, but it doesn't always happen.
I, I I do the best I can, and I can't have a claim to something like that. And I forget people. We all just do the best we can with it. I just found it was very interesting and wanted to get what that experience was like for you. I was trying to imagine it for myself the other day, and just kind of was that from birth, or was that as a result of something? Is that okay to ask?
I don't really know. I can't really remember particular that many instances of it before, so I don't know if I just notice it more because I meet more people now, and more people recognize me and remember who I am, maybe because they see. Thing is, I guess, they see more of me online because I post quite a lot, and so maybe they have more exposure to my face and my videos and stuff like this. But I may not have the other way around if they're not a very frequent online person. So yeah, I don't know if it's definitely become more and more noticeable, but I think it was probably always there. My parents always had to remind me who people were when we like visit extended family. They're like, this is this person, right? You know them. I'm like, sure I do, of course.
Gotcha. Thanks for sharing that. I know that it probably is a mildly personal question, and
Yeah.
appreciate you being
I mean,
that.
I prefer that people know about it because it can help me come across as less rude.
Yeah. Well, it's also just good to kind of get those. It's good just for educating, Yeah,
Yeah.
that's out there,
That there's other people out there who have the same problem, and so you can't really, expect everyone to have the same level of memory, especially for faces. Just I don't know what it is. I might remember, something completely different about someone and be like, yeah, you're when they put their bass on or something, like, oh, you're the guy who had like the light up fretboard, or like, oh, you had this particular thing, and I remember that, but sorry, your face, don't know.
there's a lot of that going around anyway. Like, oh, you're the
Your
guy with
face is brand new.
the bass with the flats, yeah.
Yeah.
Beam. Um, So last I researched this, and forgive me if I have my facts wrong, it looks like you are working on an album for Mercyful Fate, and you are also working on a album for Fury. Is that
Yes.
still the case?
Yes.
So it's like the
Yes.
eighth album for Mercyful Fate and Fury's fifth? Did I get that right?
Yeah, I think that sounds right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, all the Merciful Fate ones were um, a while ago. Like, this is my first one as
Yeah.
a part of it. So yeah, it does sound about right there.
Well, you're doing sounds like a lot of writing, songwriting, recording, guessing. I'm taking a guess at what you're doing with that right now. So,
So yeah, at the moment, most of the big parts of the Merciful Fate album is already written. So already written before I came to it. Instrumentally, like they kind of have the riffs outlined. Structurally, it needs a little bit more collaborative work together. And so I've done some bass demos for the new Merciful Fate album, and next we're working on King's vocals. So once that kind of starts moving, then everything will move a lot faster. But the thing is, King is also working on a King Diamond album and some releases there, and also probably some shows later this year. So it's probably going to be more like end of 2025 into 2026 that all comes together. But it's great to be working on something with them and to have something in the pipeline, and like the riffs sound really cool, really old school, and
nice.
I'm very excited for that. But yeah, the Fury album is a little bit further along. Like the songs structurally, instrumentally are in place. So, and the drums have been recorded, rhythm guitars are down. I'm like halfway through doing the bass at the moment. So, I decided to do my bass at home again because, it just kind of, as a band, saves us money. It gives me more time and kind of space to explore more ideas rather than just being like, okay, bam, record it now, like, and trying to rush through them in a studio. So yeah, I'm about maybe almost halfway through recording that. I'm going to try and finish it in the next 2 weeks. And then lead guitars, vocals. So maybe we'll have new singles out this year. Probably not a new album till next year. So probably new album and then the tour for that next year.
Nice. Do you guys each like contribute a song? Do you write songs together? Like what's your structure for that if you have one?
It's always been mostly the male singer Julian. He's the only common denominator in all the Fury albums. There has been quite a few changes over the years. It has been a long time, so these things happen. Especially for small bands, it's hard to kind of maintain that kind of commitment when it's so hard to be a small independent band. So yeah, Julian has always written the songs. He will usually bring forward riffs, chord structures, and usually a top line that is, scat vocals, just random noises and stuff like this. And then, together we'll start working through our own parts, really. So yeah, my bass lines are written by me, but of course a lot of them are following the guitar riffs and, limited by what you can do by the riffs. But, I'm perfectly happy with that. I think the riffs sound great. And when I do get a bit of space to like explore like a walking bass line or something a bit different, then those opportunities do come up quite a bit in Fury's music, which is cool. So, and then, so Julian will then kind of work on the vocals, lyrics, and also this album is the first album that we have the female vocalist Naya joining as a permanent member and writing more lyrics. So yeah, she's like contributed to some like bits in the past, backing vocals definitely quite significantly. But in terms of writing, this is maybe the first one that she's going to be like have writing credits on every song. So it's going to be different and exciting.
And writing with Mercyful Fate, I'm guessing, do you get the song and then just do the bass lines for them? How's that?
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, I only joined in January, and most of the songs are kind of together from, from previous work with that Hank has been doing, mostly writing the songs with Bjarne, so guitarist and drummer. So yeah, I will just receive them, and then he kind of gives me an outline of like, okay, this bit I'm kind of hearing. Maybe you can kind of let rip on some interesting bass lines. He likes to share any inspirations that he has for bass lines. He'll kind of like mention bands like or something along this line, like that kind of thing. So so there is quite a lot of direction, but I like that. And as a band that's had such a long legacy, done so much, I'm totally cool with that. Like it makes sense to just like do as they've asked me to. And yeah, I'm really excited about getting really stuck in with making the final bass lines for those.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to compare your two different writing situations really there, and just
really they're kind of similar, to be honest.
Yeah, that's all good. From the writing perspective, and I know it sounds like you're primarily focusing on bass lines. What do you do if you have like a creative block where you're trying to sort something out? How do you have any tips, tricks, things you do?
I gotta be honest, I guess I just try and get as many different ideas down as I can. Like I don't find myself often having a creative block, but I do find myself just hating everything that I record,
I do know.
Yeah, you just like, and maybe it's because it's not familiar yet, or you just can't picture the full thing. So I will just let rip on several different approaches and just, vomit those notes out onto these recordings. And, I'll tend to do every verse different or every chorus different and be like, guys, I hate everything I'm doing, but here's like 3 different versions of everything. What do you like? And they were like, you know what? I like how you made everything different. I like them all. These are all great. Like, it's developing. And I'm like, for real? Like, you want me to do all of them? And so, yeah, I mean, that would be.
Help. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Compliment, but it doesn't help.
Yeah. I mean,
guidance.
Yeah, guidance. But yeah, like, I guess it helps when, if you have that kind of negative, like, none of this is working, all of this sucks. And then when they listen to it, they're like, I don't know what you're on about. This sounds great. Like, this is kind of what we had in mind and even better. And you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess, like, most bass lines don't do that much. I've got to be real. Like a lot of metal bass lines will just be as simple as possible, and that works. They serve a purpose. So if you can give a little extra and the band are all feeling it, it doesn't encroach on their frequencies or on their rhythms or mess anything up there, then that's fine and that's cool.
Nice. Okay. I was curious. I had I know this interview isn't for me, but like recently someone sent me a track and I listened to it. I just had a moment. I'm like, okay.
I got nothing.
I had to take like half a day and come back to it. It was like, all right, let me just get the bass out. And it was the same kind of thing. Like, just let's make a lot of notes and it'll sort itself out.
Yeah.
And I think it was like, 3 takes later, it was like, I think that's the one. Let's just get it back to its owner. But
you do it again, you refine it, and it's like, okay, actually maybe it's okay, and then you show it to them and they're like, oh my god, like this is a masterpiece. You're like, no, it's not. I cut a lot of really bad things out.
Yes. Very cool. I was just curious to see, I'm sure it's kind of similar for everybody, but every so often, someone has an ingot to share that can help everyone. So, and I'm sure just that ingot there, just like get on the bass and just do it is a huge one. Hey, you have a Patreon page.
Yes, I do.
Yes. I was cruising through that earlier. Very nice. Applaud on the lanyard idea. You know, if you see the lanyard, I owe you a beer.
Yeah.
It's like,
You know what?
genius.
Interestingly, like, nobody's actually come up to me and been like, Becky, bars over there.
Oh, that's very sweet. That's actually very sweet of them.
Or
So,
maybe I've just completely ignored them. I've just been like, what do you want? Like,
so
what's that? I don't know anything about lanyard.
so I
But
don't
no,
know.
any my gold Patreon for sports out there, I will get you a beer, but you probably just have to remind me because I'm just on another planet. Like, because if I'm at a gig, I'm just thinking about other things. I'm not. But yeah, if you do wave it at me, I will get you a beer.
So for everyone who has no clue, if they happen to have no clue, introduce us to your Patreon page, please.
Okay, yeah. So my Patreon is just, I think of it more as just a way to support me as an artist. Like, you know, there are perks that are for you and your entertainment, but it's, you know, it is more like people who kind of believe in what I do and like the content that I put out because it's time consuming and nobody pays for it. And like, you know, I don't like my social media to be controlled by brands. You know, a lot of creators who've got like a bigger platform, which I do, you know, they can monetize it by posting adverts for various things and da da da. And I just don't want to do that. I want to have, you know, maybe occasional genuine reviews or genuine like, hey, this is cool, like check this out. But you know, I don't want to be beholden to like any brands that will pay my bills that month. So Patreon is my way of kind of supporting myself. You know, the fans supporting me through that really, so I can keep creating content. Of course, like things have been a lot busier recently, so it's been harder to do that. But I think that there's still a lot on there for people, like from especially. I started it in 2020, like March 2020 during the lockdown, because I was like, holy crap, what am I going to do? All of my gigs are cancelled, all of my earnings are gone. I can't teach my students because all my lessons were in person then in a school. So I panicked and set that up. I did a lot of you know, lessons from mostly like bass lessons, of course, just like, you know, rock and metal, like here's how you play it. Some of them have a full breakdown. Some of them are just a very audible bass recording and transcriptions, tabs and stuff. And then some of it is more music theory, reading music, scales and stuff, techniques. So there's something there for bass players, definitely. But if you just want to support and just see a bit more behind the scenes content, there's a lower tier where you just see things that, you know, even if you're not a musician, not a bass player, you probably enjoy it because it's like tour diaries and stuff like that. And then or just random stuff and, you know, extra just access to, I got some like exclusive plectrums and like I just sent them to like Patreon supporters and stuff like this. You just get extra perks. And then the higher tiers are like video calls and personal letters and like gifts and stuff that I can send you. And I was just trying to think of like things that I would really like if, you know, if my favorite musicians started a Patreon, like what would I want to do? And I'd probably just want to, I don't know, just know about their lives and see what goes on behind the scenes. And, you know, if I could afford one of their higher tiers, then I'd probably just want to chat with them on video call. And so I was like, well, I'll do that for people. And it's been really nice to actually connect with the fans in that way. So, yeah, for me, it's been fantastic. I'm so glad that I did that. It's one of those things that I really wanted to do for a long time. To set up the Patreon and just never got around to it until it was like, okay, I have no other income. I really must do this. And yeah, that was definitely a good move because it's really helped to just balance things out when, you know, the gigs are always up and down. Sometimes lessons are also up and down in terms of, you know, just monthly income. But like Patreon has been pretty steady. You know, people come and go, but and, you know, I hope that they got what they want from when they were there. But, you know, I just like to see more people just, seeing the value in content that's kind of honest and genuine, you know.
Yeah. I also was impressed, I have to say, that you seem like, even on the outset of the Patreon, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you had some quizzes in there. You were actively
Yeah.
asking your Patreon followers, like, hey, what do you want to see here? What do you want to see off the page? What would you want out of this experience? So, is it
Yeah.
just, yeah, there was a lot of nice touches I saw there. Just
Ah, good. Yeah. I mean,
notes.
yeah. That's the thing. People always change what they want to see, and they get ideas off of each other when they're talking about it. So, I may not always be able to do all the things that they want me to do, but it's always just on this list, this endless list that I have, this like spreadsheet, and I'm just like, all these things, all these ideas I want to have time to do, but alas, I have to record an album with Fury. So that, I'll get to it one day. But yeah, like it's good to talk about. And the quizzes are great. I think those are just the most fun. It's only like quite small group of the people that actually managed to make it because of like time zones and stuff. But it has brought people together, and like I've noticed that some of the gigs in the UK, I guess most of my Patreon supporters are, but also in the UK. They're kind of like meeting up, be like, hey, it's me from the quiz, and like they have a little like they hang out together and talk about like the music that they discovered, because that's the thing, it's about music. And so I'll talk about cool bands that I've discovered recently and ask questions about them. And then there's always a guest round where one of the Patreon supporters who attends the quiz can show their quiz round. They can do whatever subgenre or anything that they want to talk about. So yeah, it's cute, and it's kind of like one of those things where you just bring your PowerPoint presentation and you're like, this is this week's hyperfixation. Please listen to me talk about this thing.
Oh, that's awesome though. I even just scanning it down, not even being on your page, it was very engaging and very entertaining to read. And I was just like, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. You had some good stuff. So thank you for sharing that. That's one reason I wanted to talk about it. I know you have other things to do today, and I'm really appreciative of you taking time out of your schedule. I do want to give you an opportunity. Is there anything you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
There is nothing in my brain right now.
Okay, it's okay. I just, sometimes there's things people want to promote or just make people aware
Yeah.
of. So
I mean,
just,
the Patreon was the main thing, I guess. Like that's fine.
okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. No, thank you. I'm glad we managed to do this chat, and the interview as well was really cool. I got some messages from my friend who plays in Crimson Veil, the band that I name dropped, and she was just like, "Hey, thank you so much." And so I was like, yeah, I want some brownie points." I didn't even tell her to look at the interview. She just like,
Oh.
she's just my bestie, and she reads my interviews. Like, I'm glad somebody does.
Oh no, I mean, shoot, man. Yeah, no, I thank you for doing this, and that is part of what I enjoy about doing this is having the ability to give people a platform, and then even the people that I'm giving the platform to and giving the mic to, you can rebroadcast for other folks you want to get into that limelight. So a lot of benefits out of it, I would say. So, and telling those stories of women who play bass. Becky, thank you for being here. And yeah, I'm looking forward to dropping this for a part 3. So
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. This has been great. Cheers.